You woke up today and something felt thinner. Not broken, not wrong, just less dense. You looked around at the same walls, touched the same objects, maybe even spoke to the same people, but something in you didn't attach the same way it used to. You keep trying to explain it to yourself. Maybe it's fatigue, maybe it's stress, maybe you just need a better morning routine. But in the quietest parts of your awareness, you know it's none of that. It's that your energy is done pretending. It's done pretending that certain relationships still feel alive. It's done pretending that old ambitions still have meaning. It's done pretending that the version of you who learned to survive should be the one to keep deciding what comes next. And even though you'd never say it out loud, there's a secret relief in this strange detachment, a hidden freedom in realizing you no longer have the bandwidth to keep performing who you used to be. This is not collapse. It's not failure. It's not regression. This is your field recalibrating. Your nervous system has spent years, maybe decades, holding the weight of expectations you never consented to, and now it's finally letting go. Not because you're giving up, but because your body understands something your mind is still trying to catch up to. You don't have to keep proving you belong in a version of reality that no longer resonates with your soul. This is why it feels so disorienting. Because the old scaffolding that held you together, achievement, approval, repetition, is dissolving quietly. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with a ceremony. It just slips out the back door while you're busy trying to hold it in place. And here you are, left standing in a familiar life that suddenly feels too small for the version of you that's finally emerging. Some days you feel like you're floating, untethered, undefined. Other days you feel like you're disappearing altogether. But neither is true. You are not fading. You are expanding. Because every time you stop forcing yourself to care about what your spirit has already outgrown, you reclaim energy that was never meant to be spent on proving your worth. Every time you let yourself sit in the quiet, even when it feels unproductive, you make space for the next layer of your truth to come find you. And every time you choose stillness over performance, presence over pretending, you take one more step out of the old field and into the frequency that has been waiting for you to arrive without all your masks. So if you feel raw, unmotivated, emptied out, good. It means you're not abandoning yourself just to feel stable anymore. It means you're finally willing to risk discomfort in exchange for something real. It means you're done rehearsing the life you were taught to want. And you are closer than you think to remembering the life that has been waiting underneath all along. Some mornings you will wake up and the old gravity will try to reclaim you. You will feel the pull to reattach to obligations that never felt like yours. You'll feel the ache of nostalgia for an identity that made you feel safe, even as it made you feel small. You'll catch yourself rehearsing old scripts, smiling when you don't mean it, saying yes when every cell in your body is saying no, pretending to care about things that drain you. But the difference now is that you notice. The difference is that the act of pretending costs you more energy than simply standing in your quiet truth. And this is what no one tells you about this part of the journey. The unraveling doesn't always look dramatic from the outside. Sometimes it looks like ordinary days. It looks like going through the motions, but feeling your spirit slip further out of the performance with every passing hour. You will try to remember who you were before this thinning began, and the memory won't quite land. It will feel like an old dream, familiar but no longer real. You are not broken for feeling this way. You are not failing for needing more space than ever to just exist without explanation. You are standing in the subtle threshold between who you were conditioned to be and who you were born to become. And that threshold is not a place you visit once. It is a field you move through in spirals. One day you'll feel clear, certain, and alive. The next you'll feel foggy, disoriented, and undone. Nothing has gone wrong. The field around you, the energetic architecture that once held your reality together, is dissolving. And your body, loyal and protective, is learning how to feel safe in this new spaciousness. You will grieve, even if you don't know exactly what you're grieving. You will feel gratitude and loss in the same breath. You will miss the certainty that comes with limitation, even as you refuse to go back to it. This is the paradox of liberation. feels like emptiness at first because your nervous system has been trained to find safety in density, in busyness, in distraction, in proving, in performing. And now, in this soft clearing, you're learning to recognize the quiet as an invitation instead of a threat. This is where you start to hear yourself again. Not the self you learned to be for others, but the one who has always known how to belong to herself without permission. And as the days pass, you'll notice the old life doesn't pull at you quite the same way. It's not that you don't care, it's that you can't pretend anymore. Your spirit has moved out of the performance, and your body is finally catching up. You might wonder why this is happening now. Why, after so many years of making it work, you can no longer summon the old momentum. Why the routines you once depended on feel lifeless. Why the conversations that used to energize you now leave you hollow. Why even your dreams, the ones you chased for so long, feel like they belong to someone else. Here's the truth most won't say out loud. You are not here to keep reconstructing the same version of yourself just to feel acceptable. You are here to remember what it feels like to be whole without the scaffolding of performance. And wholeness doesn't always look like expansion. Sometimes it looks like subtraction, like losing interest in proving your worth, like letting friendships drift that never honored your truth, like giving yourself permission to not know what's next. Your mind will try to diagnose this as failure. It will say, you're losing everything, when in fact, you're only losing what was built on compromise. Because you were never meant to maintain a life that required you to fracture yourself to sustain it. And that's why the field is collapsing now, because you finally have enough self-trust to stand in the vacancy without filling it with noise. The part of you that learned to endure is dissolving. The part of you that needs constant validation is going quiet. And in the silence that follows, something deeper is beginning to hum. A knowing that does not depend on external proof. A resonance that doesn't ask you to shrink. Some will not understand this shift in you. They will call it avoidance or apathy because they have never felt the difference between surrender and collapse. But you will know. You will know by the way your body exhales when you stop forcing what no longer fits, by the way your energy steadies when you release the urge to perform, by the way your spirit feels clearer in the absence of constant striving. This is what reclaiming yourself looks like. Not a sudden transformation, but 1,000 tiny permissions to stop living from survival and start living from sovereignty. So if you feel blank, untethered, unmotivated, good. That is your signal. Your field is making space. Your soul is taking up residence. And the life that is built from this clarity will never require you to abandon yourself again. There is something extraordinary about this phase, something no blueprint can teach you and no mentor can map out. It is the rawness of being fully between stories. This is when the old definitions have collapsed, but the new ones haven't yet arrived. It's when you feel like a ghost in your own life, present but not attached, moving but not invested, seeing everything more clearly than ever, and yet feeling incapable of participating in the charade. This is not laziness. This is not failure. This is your field recalibrating to a frequency that no longer tolerates distortion. The distortion of pretending to be smaller so others feel comfortable. The distortion of overfunctioning so you can be needed. The distortion of agreeing to unspoken contracts that drain your spirit. And while you may ache for the clarity that comes with certainty, your nervous system is finally tasting something purer. The freedom of not having to define everything. It will feel strange at first. You'll wake up and notice how much of your life was built around protecting old wounds, upholding false roles, maintaining illusions of control. And in the absence of those structures, you may feel exposed, tender. But that tenderness is not weakness. It is your original state. Before the world convinced you that you had to perform in order to belong, your presence was enough. And it still is. This is where your real life starts, not in the moment you master a new identity, but in the moment you stop performing any identity at all. You will begin to feel the difference between what feels familiar and what feels true. Familiar will tug at you like gravity, whispering that you should go back, pick up the mask, rejoin the performance. But truth will hum quietly beneath your ribs, reminding you that no amount of approval is worth abandoning yourself again. This is why everything feels so still right now. Not because you are stuck, but because you are finally refusing to create momentum from fear. This is not inertia. This is incubation. You are becoming the version of yourself that no longer uses exhaustion as proof of worth. And in this quiet space, you are remembering what you came here to embody: a life built from integrity, not obligation, a rhythm set by resonance, not performance, a truth that doesn't need validation to be real. Stay here a little longer. Let the clarity find you without forcing it. Let the silence teach you what effort never could. This is where most people turn back, where the unfamiliar becomes so uncomfortable that the temptation to rebuild the old life grows almost irresistible. You'll feel it: the ache to fill the quiet with noise, the urge to resurrect old goals simply because you don't know who you are without them, the pull to reconnect with relationships that never nourished you, just to feel anchored to something. But I promise you this: what you are grieving is not your true self. It's the version of you that learned how to cope by betraying your own clarity, the one who hustled for crumbs of approval, the one who confused productivity with purpose, the one who silenced intuition in order to belong. And that version is dissolving now. Not because you failed, but because you finally evolved beyond the need to be understood by everyone. This is what freedom feels like at first, like emptiness. But you are not empty. You are spacious. And spaciousness is the natural state of a field no longer cluttered by old agreements. This is why your dreams are vivid and strange. This is why your body feels alternately exhausted and electric. This is why time itself seems to warp, sometimes racing ahead, sometimes stretching into eternity. Because your frequency is shifting. And the old timelines, the ones built on urgency and fear, cannot survive the vibration you are learning to hold. You will notice that certain thoughts keep circling back. Who am I without the struggle? What do I desire when I'm no longer trying to prove anything? What happens if I never pick up the old identity again? Sit with those questions. Don't rush to answer them, because the answers you find in this quiet will not come from the mind. They will come from the resonance of your own being finally unmasked. This is the point in the journey when you start to feel something softer beneath all the dissolution: a current of peace that doesn't depend on circumstance, a flicker of joy that doesn't need justification, a knowing that cannot be argued or explained, only lived. And as you begin to trust this new rhythm, you will see that the life you are now capable of creating is not a performance. It is a homecoming. Stay here. Let the old roles finish collapsing. Your true self is not fragile. It has been waiting for exactly this moment to reemerge. This is the moment you realize you don't have to rebuild anything, because nothing true was ever lost. All that's dissolving is the scaffolding you constructed to survive a world that didn't know how to hold your sensitivity, your vision, your truth. It's okay to feel unprepared for this level of openness. For so long, you believed your worth was proven by how much you could endure, how much you could produce, how much you could tolerate before finally breaking. But that story is over. You are no longer here to be a monument to your own endurance. You are here to embody a different frequency, one that does not require you to perform your exhaustion as evidence that you're trying hard enough. This is why it feels so raw, because your nervous system is detoxing from the belief that safety is earned by self-betrayal. And the longer you sit in this space without rushing to define it, the more you will feel something unmistakable rising inside you: coherence. Not the coherence of a perfect plan, not the coherence of a neatly organized identity, but the coherence of presence itself. A presence that doesn't need to convince anyone. A presence that doesn't need to apologize for taking up space. A presence that holds its own frequency without shrinking. If you wonder what comes next, know this: you will not build the next version of your life the way you built the last one. The last version was assembled from survival patterns. The next one will emerge from resonance. The last version was driven by urgency. The next one will unfold with quiet inevitability. The last version demanded proof of your value. The next one will be an embodiment of value itself. So take a breath right now. Feel the space you've created inside yourself. This is not emptiness. This is capacity. Capacity to hold more truth. Capacity to feel without numbing. Capacity to love without conditions. And as you walk forward, slowly, gently remember, you don't have to know how it will look. You don't have to name it before you're ready. You only have to stay honest enough not to pretend you're still who you were. That's all. And that is everything. If this message resonated with you, let it echo in your body before you rush to share it. Because some truths are not meant to be broadcast immediately. They are meant to be lived quietly and fully until they become the new baseline of your existence. And when that happens, you will know you were never lost. You were only shedding the layers that convinced you to abandon yourself in the first place.